Hello there, World of Tankers, I'm Tanks Blitz, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Tier 8 Chinese medium tank, the T-34-2. This is a super fun vehicle, and an extremely rare type of medium at that. And it's not because it's rare to find in the matchmaker, but because of the gun it can mount on it. For some reason, the Chinese love their massive guns, starting off with the WZ-121, dealing 420 damage, the WZ-120, 400 damage. Then you move onto the T-34-2, and it as well does 400 damage per shot. And this, of course, goes back to the age-old question, what is better? Do you want damage per shot, or do you want damage per minute? Now, of course, I do like a beefier alpha, because when you're playing up against, let's say, another tier 8 opponent, even an IS-5, you can actually trade with that IS-5, taking 400 off him, and he'll take 400 off you. But if you were in another medium vehicle, let's say like the Pershing, yeah, you're not going to be on too well of a trade, or should I say hit points, after you've dealt with that IS-5. So, I definitely like alpha. I just think it's a little more flexible, but of course, damage per minute is something that's also very, very necessary to win certain games. So in today's video, I figured, you know what, let's talk about this vehicle. I don't think this is a tank that a lot of people really talk about. It's a super fun vehicle at that, and as well, the WZ-121, currently, in my opinion, is by far one of the best tier 10 mediums to currently grind, along with the T6C2A and the WZ-121. So I'm going to be talking about this tank in today's video. So as always, if you like this type of content and you want to see more like it, please make sure to smash that subscribe button down below. Really helps with the channel a crazy amount. But right into it, what is good about this tank and what is bad? So as I said, it does of course have that massive alpha going for it. And that means that not only do we outtrade literally all the medium tanks on the enemy team apart from that T-34-2, but we also outtrade vehicles like, well, we don't outtrade, but we equally trade with opponents like the IS-5, the IS-6, even tanks like the AMX 1390 really pose no threat to this tank when I am loading the high explosive. This tank gets heat as its secondary rounds with about 275 millimeters of premium pen, so a pretty nice amount. The AP, yeah, it's not a spectacular number of pen. It's only sitting at 175. It's not really going to get through most tier 8 heavy tanks or even tier 9s. But of course, when you are going up against tier 8 mediums, you are going to punch right through the armor. So we are up against a T95E2. There we go. So there's the 95E2, and we've got that massive caliber gun, and boom, 447 damage. And thankfully, I got my 34-3 there as well. So you can see we literally knocked off half of that guy's HP in 2 shots. That is why I love this tank. It's just got that big alpha. So what do we got here? Well, we got the IS-6 pushing right out in the open. Let's see if we can get a nice tap. There you go. Again, 337. That alpha is something that's really key. So I'm already sitting at around 700 to 800 damage. And oh boy, that poor guy there. So they only have really one tank destroyer, which means I don't have to worry about that a crazy amount. We do have a T-34-2 though, and that of course is a vehicle that carries the exact same alpha damage as me, so I do want to be a little bit careful when I am fighting some of the bigger alphas. But honestly, this isn't too bad of a match right off the bat. And you'll notice, wait a second, why is your aiming time so quick on this vehicle? Well, that's because this tank has literally a 2.5 second aiming time, a pretty crazy number when you do start to think about it. That means that literally I can just stop my tank, aim in for 2 seconds, and I'll have a shot right on the enemy. So this T-34-2 here, there you go, aim in on him, and boom, in less than 2 seconds, I've snapped a shell right into his vehicle. So that is one thing I love about these tanks, is that massive alpha is able to get out a lot of easy shots. We got a tank like this 1390, and oof, just the reload not able to get me a shot out there. Of course, that DPM will hurt you in certain scenarios, especially when trying to fight a tank there, or like this 34-3 might struggle against an IS-6 or something like that, because of course, an IS-6 actually has a pretty nice amount of damage per minute for the gun it does have mounted. So we got the C25 here, and boom, a massive high roll on him there. That was actually a max roll, 644 damage in a singular shell, lighting him on fire. Again, that is what these big alpha shells are able to do. They're just able to wreak havoc on the enemy team. Now, sadly, we cannot penetrate an HE on the T-34-2. Fun fact, if you have a 150mm, you can very easily just rip apart a T-34-2 with HE shells pretty much anywhere. But here we go. We got the AMX 1390, who I'm going to try and prioritize here, finish off with a singular HE shell in the side of the turret, which, as you can see, we were easily able to do there, and this was just a pretty stock standard game showing you the great efforts of the T-34-2. So it's just got the great alpha, and not only that, but the T-34-3 has one issue going for it, and that is the mobility. It's not necessarily the quickest of medium vehicles. It is quick, it goes pretty dang quick in top speed, but the 34-3 doesn't have great acceleration. The 34-2 is actually a very quick vehicle. It trades off all that armor to have the mobility. However, the turret on this tank is still ridiculously strong. So there you go. First battle played in the 34-2, and we did over 3,000 damage. A great effort to show, hey, you don't always need that alpha, or should I say the damage per minute, to get out a crazy amount of damage. In fact, I don't think we would have done as well if we were running another type of vehicle in that same scenario. So as I said, the standard isn't the greatest penetration. It's still enough to punch through most side armor on IS series tanks because, you know, the nice thing is when you have a larger caliber gun, you overmatch more armor. When you're going up against a vehicle like, I don't know, let's say like the Rev, I can overmatch some of the angles that maybe a smaller gun wouldn't be able to on certain auto ricochet spots, so something that's very nice there. And it's just a pretty nice experience overall when running this tank. So let's see what we are up against. We've got that Rev, we got the T-54. Now standard will not penetrate that T-54 whatsoever. Of course I do have that wonderful heat, so that will go right through him, but right now not sure what the team's doing. I do have tank destroyers, it would look like that are going to cover me, so I'm going to push just a little bit passive here. That's one thing I always want to do. If you stay passive, you will be fine on this type of map. So there we go, spotting the Rev. I'm going to use this Dune as added protection here, because of course I don't know where the rest of the enemy team is. They could be pushing all their vehicles over to the side, and yeah, probably something I don't want to be playing with. But thankfully, I've got that WT overlooking, and there you go. So there's most of the enemy team spotted. The 704 actually doing a super aggressive push. I kind of like it. You know what? That could work, especially if this Rev gets caught out in the open, which, you know what? We're going to tap a nice HE right in the side, and again, that Alpha really kind of out-trading a vehicle like this Rev, and now I want, of course, to make sure this Rev cannot get away from the 704, so I'm going to sort of rub my butt on him. There you go, nice little butt rub, and with one singular shell, the Rev, of course, did out-reload us, one thing where the DPM is kind of bad, but you know what? We still came out on top because that poor guy, yeah, didn't do too well after that. So this T-54 doing a mighty aggressive push here. Let's see if we can get a shot right in the butt. There you go, 363. Now, again, this is where the DPM isn't necessarily the best. I need better DPM that kind of support my teammate, but at the same time, yeah, this T-54 is not going to be doing too strong anytime soon because we're going to get one more nice tap right in the side, and he is taken out. So overall, we didn't really need that much DPM, but I can see in certain scenarios where if we were up against that Rev, we might have done a little bit better, I would say, with a little bit more damage per minute. But now my team is struggling quite a bit, as you'll notice. But I'm going to try and just really quickly get out in the open here to see if we can maybe get a shot into the side of this Hori. There we go. Maybe not. That was not a wonderful shell coming out of my vehicle there. I don't like when shots do that for me. So right now, this is actually a pretty tricky scenario. We've got a lot of deadly vehicles on the enemy team, and not all necessarily ones I want to play with. But thankfully, one of the deadliest ones, probably against me, got taken out in a pretty big whiff of an explosion there. So let's see what we can deal with. We know the Kampfpanzers in the back of the map. I want to be very careful that this Conway doesn't end up pulling out right on the side, which it does look like they are not doing. So they're somewhere secluded in the middle there. So I'm going to be trying to push maybe a little bit over to the side here. That, oh, there's the IS-5. Okay, so the IS-5 spotted there. So the only tanks that I know of that are over here is the Conway, who is not super duper healthy. Sadly, my WT just shrugged off a large amount of HP. Not something I really want my WT to be doing, sadly. But let's see if we can maybe get this Conway. Let's really quickly try and skadoosh our way through here. Where is the enemy? There we go. Conway spotted out in the open. Back up very quickly. Yes. Okay, that is, of course, very nice for my tank here. That Kampfpanzer, not sure where he is. There is the Kampfpanzer. Okay, so, oof. Yes, Kampfpanzer taken out. That's perfect for me. See if we can, yes, there you go. Again, this is where Alpha is definitely key. Trying to get those really beefy shells in. This Conway here, we were able to tap, and this Pantera, not sure what the guy's doing, because of course, he would have out-reloaded that Conway, but I guess we're going to finish him off. There you go. Okay, I thought that guy got the kill for a second, but we're still doing a pretty solid effort here, as you can see. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky scenario. I would much rather get hit by this VK, because I don't really have a choice right now, so let's get hit by that VK. I can't really get a shell into this IS. We might be able to dome him, but oh, just overexposing my vehicle, as you can see, sadly. Sometimes, you know, I make a little bit of a mistake, and yeah, that definitely was a bigger mistake on my part. But as you guys can see, the T-34-2 is a pretty fun vehicle at that. I kind of fell apart there at the end, just sadly. Couldn't really hold my own. Not sure why this Pantera is backing up just as soon. Oh, gee, this is fantastic. But looks like we're going to be winning either way. So yes, I actually love the T-34-2. It's a very tricky vehicle to play, of course. Sometimes the Alpha can let you down, especially if you bounce a shell, you're really shrugging off a lot of DPM there. So like in that scenario where I was kind of up against that IS-5, that's a tricky scenario to penetrate the enemies, but even that, we still did a decent battle of 2,200 damage. Not a spectacular one, but you know what? I'm not going to complain. It's still a victory, and that's what's always nice to come out and blitz with. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you like the T-34-2, or do you think maybe running for the T-44, having more damage Instrument is a better value, because this thing's only sitting at around 1700. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Of course, if you enjoyed today's video, please make sure to smash that subscribe button down below. But other than that, hope you're all doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.